thing, they were about to close. They had some financial trouble, so they came up with the idea of making this institution where we're going to train Muslim imams. We're going to do Buddhists, and we're going to teach Christianity all in under one roof.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. So that is the trend. So ITC is part of that trend. And
oh no.
Yeah, so it's a very, very liberal. And we can probably talk about that another time because I'm actually doing some research, and I actually know one of the deans personally at ITC, because ITC is composed of like 4 or 5 different individual seminaries, but all together collectively they're known as ITC.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a very interesting story right there.
Yeah,
this
but this liberal trend in institutions, and then you have the rise of New Age teaching.
Right.
All this stuff is taking place at the same time. So that's how you're able to get an Eddie Long. That's how you're able to get a Creflo Dollar or a Earl Polk, and some of these other people.
His son, Donnie Earl, he went way off. I mean, there's that church there, Church in the Now, who is Jim Swilley, who is the nephew of Earl Polk.
That's down the street. That's down the street from me too.
Yeah. I mean, that's another.
And these churches are huge.
Yeah. It's a big place, but they teach ultimate reconciliation. There's no hell. You don't. You can be saved without knowing it. This is an outgrowth of really what Earl Polk believed, and he deceived so many people. He was on, like you said, he was on TBN. He was all over the place, but yet his doctrine was so messed up.
Earl Polk was known for, he came up with something called dominion theology or something.
Right. Yeah.
Either dominion theology or something related to that, where it was basically the same. It was linked with charismatic movement. It was one of the things that defined the charismatic movement, because that pretty much taught that the kingdom of God, that basically the Christian's responsibility in the earth was to take over the earth.
Take over, right.
Basically, that we were to take over, and we would be to bring God's kingdom to every area of the earth. So the political, and
financial,
the financial, that was, and his evidence for that would go back to Genesis, where God told Adam to have dominion over the earth, be fruitful and multiply, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But what the funny part about that is, when you get to Genesis 3, God revoked, after Adam and Eve sinned, God revoked that authority. He cursed Adam, he cursed the man, he cursed the woman, he cursed, who else he cursed? He cursed the serpent.
Yeah.
He said that the woman would be subject to her husband, and the man would work by the sweat of his brow. He kicked man out of the garden. So everything wasn't the same. The dominion wasn't. They didn't have dominion over everything after that. There was some problems after sin came.
We know about that for sure,
And it won't be rectified until Christ returns.
That's right.
That's when it'll be rectified.
Yeah, we're here now. Let me take this call and see what this caller has to say. So hang on, Kevin.
All right.
Hello, caller.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, what is your comment?
I actually have a question. Maybe you all that are in the ATL area can give us, who are not in that area, a little insight. I have a question about the young man bringing the case. I just kind of wonder why was maybe a lawsuit filed or why was it, why didn't they just come forward instead of doing any kind of suing? I mean, because in my opinion, it didn't seem like they would win if they were, if they were of age when these allegations allegedly took place.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering that in. I personally kind of believe it, but I'm just leaving that out of this right now. I'm just kind of wondering on the other side why maybe the lawyers possibly took the case and why did they even bring it, to this point to do it this way instead of maybe just kind of coming forward like the guy did with the Ted Haggard case.
Yeah.
I've thought about that a whole lot, and one of the things that has got me about this whole thing is I'm wondering how they got in touch with this particular attorney. And the reason is because this attorney is very, she's one of the top criminal defense attorneys in Georgia. She handled a very high-profile case in Georgia that received national attention. It was in the Gennaro Wilson case. But
right, that's why I think that's why I put that together, is because she did such a good job. They probably knew about her, representing that young man. So that's how I thought.
But so you thinking about a person? I don't know how old the young men are, but to answer your question is, I don't know. I can say that this lawyer is obviously following a strategy that she thinks will be successful in some way, and
yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know what successful looks like, because I thought about it, and if it were me, and by the way, I experienced molestation when I was a very young child, and I don't remember it. My memories are very faint about it.
Yeah.
But I can't speak on it specifically if it happened to me by a preacher, and I was older, in the situations they were in. But I can't think that I would want any money. I would think that I would want the person to admit what they did. But see, the thing about that is you're fighting an uphill battle. It's almost a battle of will.
Exactly. That's right.
It doesn't really seem to be about money.
No.
I don't think money would be. I would consider money damages to be a successful outcome if that was something that happened to me as a man. I'm saying that as a man. Yeah. I would want the world to know. I would want him to admit what he did. And I think that maybe that is what this attorney is trying to do, is trying to force Eddie Long, if he did do something, force him in the position to admit something, which, by the way, he in a way did in his address to the congregation when he said twice, "I'm not a perfect man."
Right. I thought that was kind of a way where if more evidence comes out, which I'm sure there will be some more breaking news in the days to come, is that he'll have a way to kind of prepare people for what's coming. Because I thought it was kind of a good strategy that they used, because he brought his wife out. She was there with him. They were he was holding hands, and then they had this press conference. Which, by the way, at first they were going to allow the reporters, they invited the reporters into the room after the service to have a press conference, and they told them that they were invited to ask questions. And they lured them in there, and then when they got there, mainly the stage was set for Eddie Long to say whatever he wanted to the world, is the reason why they invited all those reporters, and then they were not allowed to ask one question.
He just basically said the same thing. He said, my thing is, I hope we've answered your question, caller, and your voice sounds familiar. I think I know who you are. But
there's another one too. So
you have another caller?
Yeah. You want to take the call?
Yeah, we might as well. I hope we answer a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, caller.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
I'm sorry, I'm still the same person. I actually lost the call, and I just called back in to say that you did answer my question.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
God bless.
All right.
All right, then.
My thing with, as far as whether he did it or not, Susan, the way he has handled it so far, in my view, has not been the proper example. And people will say, well, it doesn't matter what he said. He wouldn't have been satisfied. Nobody would be satisfied with it anyway. And my thing is, he got it. He used the pulpit. He misused the pulpit. In other words, the pulpit should be used to preach the gospel. And I know there's not really such thing as a pulpit in the Bible, so I can't say what the pulpit definitively should be used for. But I'm saying any place which is dedicated to the preaching of the word, whether it's the front steps or or on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Wherever you are to proclaim, and you're God's messenger, wherever you stand to proclaim, that's what you're to use that place for. I think it's inappropriate to use that place to personally defend yourself. I think it's wrong to use it to put on a show, which I think is what Eddie Long did. Bring up his wife and dropping the microphone and using these dramatic scriptures and out of context and walking off the stage and in a dramatic. I think if he were to do anything, he should have gotten up there and preached the gospel and left it at that.
Yeah.
And if he had anything to say in his defense, that should have been done elsewhere. But I just think that he misused the pulpit. I think that he misused an opportunity to bless his accusers, which is what you're supposed to do. Instead, he set himself, because that's what Christ said: love your enemies and do good to those who despitefully use you.
Yeah.
What he did was he went in that pulpit and he made these boys his enemy, and he also made that congregation their enemy. And instead of saying, I want to say to these young men that, I don't know, what I did to you, or he didn't have to get into that. He said, I want these young men, I want them to know that I love them and I forgive them.
Right, if he was really innocent.
That's what I would expect a gospel preacher, a gospel Bible preacher to say.
Right, you're right.
And I'm going to tell you something, Susan. I've been accused of some heinous, not as bad as that, but I've been accused. When I was accused, I've been accused. I've been where I've had charges against me, and there are people looking at me crazy and thinking I did, and when I was completely innocent. And I told people that I was innocent. I went to the DA and told him, gave him proof of my innocence. I didn't, but the people who accused me, I never said anything negative about these people, about this person rather, because that's just something that I could not do, because I just couldn't do that as a Christian. That's not the example in Scripture. And so I think that Bishop Long, I think he failed. That's what he seriously failed, whether or not he did it or not. I don't think he's going to. He was a poor example this past Sunday, and he's been a poor example in his teaching, which